Hello viewers and welcome back to SaharaTV. With me today is Mr. Rex Osa, an activist with the Voice Refugee Forum based in Germany. And he's here today to speak with us about a couple of things. One being the organization's goal for self-organization, self-determination for migrants to come together and refugees to come together to fight for their own rights and representation. He's also here to shed light on a very controversial scheme that appears to be going on in Germany and possibly other countries, where the Nigerian Embassy is engaging in deportation of non-Nigerians to Nigeria. And it even has been alleged that this is perhaps on behalf of the German government. Thank you, Mr. Osa, for being with us here on SaharaTV.
Thank you.
Please now, if you could tell us a bit more about your role with the forum.
Like you already mentioned, we are a self-organized refugee and migrant network based in Germany. I am a coordinator from the southern part of Germany and responsible for the anti-deportation coordination and also the nationwide campaign for self-organization of refugees in the different lagers.
Yeah, so on that note, I mean, why, I assume the self-organization was chosen because of the lack of real representation and the ability to get representation due to refugees and migrants in some of these countries. It's very difficult. There's not representation, or there's no way for people to really come together as a whole to fight for their rights and for these issues to be made, you know, a broad public view on these issues. I mean, what successes have you had when you started toward the self-organization versus just relying on the states and other organizations?
I think I would date it back to the foundations. I was not one of the founding members. I just got into the network in 2006.
Wow, okay.
So what I would say from my experience since 2006, we are in a position to bring the voice of the refugees out, because we believe that only victims are in position to really talk about their situation and they know better what is best for them. For many years there has been protests, different forms of demonstration and criticism about the situation of refugees worldwide. But the problem why there has been no change or very minimum amount of change is because a third party is speaking about the situation of refugees, and NGOs with some left-wing activists who try to even see compromises as better situations for the victims. So our position was to say, no, we want to speak for ourselves, because when we speak for ourselves, the sympathy comes more and the understanding of our situation is much more clearer. This was the idea. And there has been a lot of development, because one of the major agenda that we had was civil disobedience, because we believe that civil disobedience was the only option to really expose the abuses of the state. It's just like any law that does not respect humanity. We don't need to respect it. We have to go against it. And this brings the situation more to the public, going to the court, and otherwise makes it much more into the public and create room for questions on exactly why this law is racist or whatever.
Can you share with us some of the difficulties that this choice of civil disobedience and self-organization has caused? I mean, you've butted up against numerous state organizations, I'm sure. If you could just share some of those difficulties. Yeah,
the difficulties would come first of all from the side of the state. We are all criminalized, because when you exercise civil disobedience, you are already criminalized in the first place. And secondly, there's also a problem with left-wing networks. Also, some of them find it hard to really understand what we mean by civil disobedience. It feels like for them, civil disobedience is just to make them irrelevant, but that's exactly not true. Civil disobedience means, yes, we work together, but don't speak for me. Allow me to speak for myself, and let me tell you what exactly my points are and what exactly my expectations should be. And also to tell you the kind of solidarity that I want from you. It's just like in cases of the situation of refugees in Germany, where you are isolated in lager, you have no right, and you are given, you have no right to privacy. You are given food, like little children, not in cash, but in kind of packet foods, or you are given like coupons to go to shops to buy food. So when we as refugees say, no, we want money because it's our right to choose our choice of food, some groups would always want to say, okay, getting coupons may be better than getting packet food, but who are you to tell me exactly what is better for me? I should tell you exactly what is better for me, and especially based on the fact that, yes, it's my right to choose my choice of food. Why I'm not a little child? Why can I not get money myself to buy what I want rather than living or dwelling on meals that I never was used to? Like I came to Germany when I was already 32 years old, and I had to live by all these rules of eating meals that I never was used to after 32 years. You could imagine what kind of frustration that could sound like. Then there are issues like what we call Residenzpflicht. Residenzpflicht in Germany, it's a restriction to your freedom of movement. As a refugee then in Germany, you are not allowed to go outside your district. You are restricted within your district throughout the process of your asylum, and your district may be a district where you have more than 30 communities, and most of the communities are only farmers community, that you have just one or two little cities that are not so much different from the villages, but you are binded within this area. And if you are by chance caught out of the Landkreis, you are going out of the Landkreis either because you want to go to the next city to purchase African meals from the shop, you are controlled at the train station, or inside the train, you are penalized for it. And if you try that 3 times, it's enough for you to be deported. So you can imagine that because you exercise your freedom to move, which is imbibed in the United Nations Declaration, and even the German Constitution speaks about it, then you are criminalized. So why should refugees or migrants be put in such a situation that there are special laws that downplays the federal constitution to treat them like criminals?
Right. So actually, deportation is the main campaign that you all are working on now, and specifically this idea that the Nigerian Embassy is playing a bit of a game where they are going around and what you've told me is identifying non-Nigerians as Nigerian on behalf of the German's government, and then deporting them to Nigeria. Can you explain how this is actually taking place? I mean, this can't be legal in any means. Yeah,
deportation, we know it's a culture in Germany, so at the same time, we wouldn't say Germany alone, also with other so-called imperialist nations who are part of the structure of the destruction of our countries, because I belong to a network also called the Caravan. Our motto says, we are here because you destroyed our country. And for us, we say deportation is colonial in heritage and it has to be stopped. In Germany, when refugees' asylum processes are finished, the refugees are summoned to appear before the Nigerian Embassy consular officers, who are on a monthly basis somewhere in a city in Germany. For every month they're somewhere in Germany, either in a police station or in an airport premises or one of these institutions, security institutions of Germany. And here refugees will be invited from different refugee lagers in Germany. They will be given letters. Some are allowed to come on their own. Some are taken by the police in the night and kept over the night in the police cell and brought in the morning with the police. Then some are brought in from deportation prisons. Also, in this case, a lot of black Africans are summoned because in Germany, all black Africans are prejudiced as Nigerians. And in that case, Nigerian Embassy is even playing a role of issuing deportation papers. The mobile hearing, as we call it, is only to issue deportation papers for the refugees. So an embassy official from the consular section sits down together with officials of the German state from the deportation authority and the federal police. They sit down together in one room while refugees are summoned all around. So it's like a militarized atmosphere where refugees are brought in. Those who even come by themselves are never allowed to go out for the whole day until the process is finished. Even going to use the toilet, you have to be escorted by police officers. You came there yourself. And there were cases where refugees were even stripped naked and they were asked to open their ass. The women were asked to open their private parts one time in Ludwigsburg. And they asked, but we are here, we knew we were coming to police screening, and even if we are carrying drugs, we wouldn't come here, but they were treated like that, although the embassy denied that they never knew what was happening with the people outside just until they come to them. But what does the embassy hearing mean? It's just an embassy official sitting down, and a refugee is brought in front of him, and the question he poses is, we are here because the German state has rejected your asylum application, and that's why we are here, because they want to know who you are and they want you to go back to your country.
Now, interestingly, we were speaking before, and you mentioned that really the only question that they want is, and you told them that they actually force people, oh, tell the truth, tell them you're a Nigerian, tell them you're a Nigerian. Can you explain this? I mean, what exactly, they don't even care, like you mentioned. an individual from Burundi and from the Gambia that were sent back to Nigeria, even and with papers, traveling certificates claiming that they were from Nigeria when in fact they were not.
Yeah, I'm actually coming to that because in this case I just want to let you know exactly how the form is.
Yeah,
the man
definitely.
sits down and the refugee comes in and he says, yes, we are here because your asylum application is rejected and you are expected to go back to your country. That's why we are here. And what do you have to say?
Right.
What does he have to say? I cannot go back because I'm scared of persecution or whatever, and they say, okay, go away. Sometimes they humiliate you to tell you, go away, you're lying, you're one of those who destroy the name of the country. Some people come in, they say they are Senegal, they are from Senegal, they are from Gambia, and he says, oh, you are not from Senegal, you are Nigerian. Yeah? Don't lie, go away. At the end of the day, they issue document for such people to be deported. Sometime in 2011, we had a protest in front of the mobile hearing spot in Karlsruhe in Germany, and a guy who is from Burundi, who has been here for 11 years, and this was his 5th time of attending a mobile hearing, was even being forced by the embassy consular officer to even accept that he's in Nigeria. When he came out, he was feeling really disappointed that how can I be forced? How can he force me to say I'm in Nigeria when I'm not?
Right.
So you could see such situation. So this is how it is. And the problem is, what is the modalities of this identification? How do you identify me as a Nigerian because I'm black? Or by my shape of head or by my accent? This is total colonial. This has been our protest for many years. We have even tried to even discuss with the embassy ambassador then, Mr. Reedmap, who after 5 hours could not even defend one single reason why the deportation hearing was justified. And up till today, it's still existing. This year alone, a refugee was deported to Nigeria, a Gambian refugee, notwithstanding the fact that we even protested spontaneously at the prohibited area of the parliament in Bavaria to say, yes, there's a guy in deportation prison who is not in Nigeria, who is to be deported to Nigeria. And right now, he's to be deported, so his deportation will be a scandal. The parliamentarian wrote a letter to say we are looking into it, but still he was deported. After the deportation, a letter was sent again to say, yes, you are invited to speak with one of the parliamentarians, 2 of the parliamentarians from the right wing, so to say, and just let me leave it like that. And finally, what do you want to discuss about an issue of a guy who has already been deported?
He's been deported, exactly.
And finally, they wrote a letter because we didn't appear to say, yes, the internal ministry confirmed that he's a Nigerian, but this guy is a Gambian. It was clear that it's a Gambian, but we are investigating. We are trying to get the documentation from Gambia as soon as possible, just to show, because the German state will always justify that there's no proof that it's a Gambian. But I want to let you understand something. In Germany, if you want to get a right to stay, and you submit a Nigerian passport issued from the Nigerian Embassy in Berlin, Germany, it is also not respected. This passport has to be taken to your country, Nigeria, to your family. They have to be questioned. You have to pay for it. Your mother has to be questioned if she's alive. Your brothers and sisters will be questioned because you give all these names to them, addresses of your family members. And somebody from your street will be questioned because there's somebody they call Vertrauens Anwalt. It's like trustee of the embassy of Germany in Nigeria. He gets this money to go to these areas. He goes to your street around the corner to ask about your family and ask about you without you knowing. Then he goes further to your school, primary school, to ask questions about you, just to be sure of your name, your information, and he goes around. If he comes back to find out that you have 2 names on your passport, 2 first names, 2 names, your first name and middle name on your passport, and there's a 3rd name, he makes problem with it. Also in Germany, they make problem with you that there's another name you bear in Nigeria, but it's not here. But he failed to understand that our culture, I have so many different names.
Of course.
As long as my surname is correct.
So,
but it's not accepted. With this, you can be denied the right to stay. So if this process is taken in the issue of getting the right to stay, then why in the issue of deportation, it's not important? Just
to find out if
for the embassy to say yes, you are from Nigeria.
Yeah, like you say, there's no question, and they just make it up on the spot. However, they identified someone as Nigerian. Now, one thing I'd like to discuss a little bit further with you is the fact that the Nigerian embassy, and not just in Germany, but in other countries, we've heard. Often Nigerian citizens themselves have very hard troubles with their embassies, getting their passports renewed or just any issues that they may have within the country. It's very hard to get in contact with embassy officials and get things done. Is that the same in Germany? Because I know you mentioned that the embassy itself exists only in Berlin. There's no consulates anywhere except for these mobile consulates which don't actually serve Nigerian interests. So you have the Nigerian embassy working harder, actually, it seems, for the German state than for its own citizens living in Germany.
Yeah, the Nigerian embassy in Germany, it's on one interest only serving the interest of the German state. That's to show their stooge position and this colonial style of operation. And secondly, also, it's just like we don't have an embassy.
Right.
Because as a Nigerian, to get into my embassy is also questionable. It's a problem. If you want something from the embassy, you have to suffer for it. For many years, Nigerian communities have clamored that the Nigerian embassy should create consulate all over different parts of Germany. So it's easily accessible because we have a lot of Nigerians in Germany. But they never agreed to do it with the excuse that they don't have enough funds, but Nigeria embassy in Germany makes a lot of money. Okay? Formerly, we pay hell of money, like 600 euros. People spend 1,000 euros to get passport. Even there are issues of people who are defrauded with about 1,000 plus to even get passport because they have a lot of touts. Even the embassy, officials are touts also.
Wow.
I give you an instance with the issue of this new ECOWAS passport. You have to pay $65 to this South Global stuff. But still in Germany, for the past 3 years, we had to suffer an issue where the embassy refers you to tout because if you use a Visa card or a MasterCard to pay, you never get into pay. You can pay for the next 3 months, the credit card never works. So I think technically something is tempered in Germany. And then you call the embassy, they recommend a tout for you who lives close to the embassy, who charges you 130 euros. I have a receipt for it.
Wow.
Who charges you 130 euros to pay 65 US dollars, which is less than 50 euros. And when he does it in your presence, in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's over. But you try it for 3 months, it never works. There are issues, even Nigerians who collect money also, exorbitant charges. There's a lady who was collecting more than 170 euros also in Germany just to pay for these people, and the embassy recommends them for you. They give you the numbers to these people to reach out to them to get that paid. So you could imagine the role of the embassy. I have to travel from Stuttgart to Berlin with 135 euros to get to the embassy, and to return also is 135 euros.
Wow.
So if I have to go 2 times to see how it looks like. So, but all the same, the embassy does not see the need to even create consulate to ease the stress of Nigerians in Germany. You see mothers with children,
traveling
pregnant women, they stay at the embassy, and anytime you go to the Nigerian embassy, just be sure you miss your train if you make the train connection for that day back to your zone, because you never can go back on that day. You have to pay for an hotel to stay if you don't have nobody. But they don't care about it, and they are very arrogant in their ways. They talk to people anyhow without respect. You see, children don't even have space to play, and when your child is crying, they're angry, they humiliate you that your child is crying, when the Nigerian embassy in Germany does not even think about having a small place for children to even have fun, just like every other German institutions. Wherever you go, you just find where it's created for children to even have some cool time, not to distract attention. So this is how it is. So the Nigerian embassy has shown no role in uplifting the situation of Nigerians, but it's just serving the interest of the receiving state and their own pockets.
Right. So I'd like to go down the angle also of, while these mobile consulates are set up like every week to identify people apparently for deportation, what about the embassy doing something for Nigerians that may be in detention in Germany? Has there been, do they even do anything for them? I mean, there's
some years ago, I think that should be 2 years ago, there was a kind of petition from a group called Concern Nigeria, and they tried to raise some points that the embassy must have to go into these areas at least to know how many Nigerians are kept in prison. But still, they never did.
To date, there's nothing.
Nigerians, they don't know the Nigerians in prisons. They don't know how many they are. They have no interest. Even when they are invited, they never will go there.
Wow.
And then the only time they have access to Nigerians in prison is when imprisoned Nigerians are brought by the security officers or the police to the
one of these mobile
only to issue document for their deportation. That's only when they come around. And even they are not interested in why they were in prison.
Wow.
A lot of Nigerians are in prison for just reasons that are total criminalization that does not even have any basis.
So right now, the Voice Refugee Network and yourself are involved in a number of things, one being the petition that you've tried to put forward numerous times on three things, really. The main one being that the Nigerian state needs to stop acting this way on behalf of the Nigerian government and facilitating these deportations, which are in fact illegal. And also that if you can tell us about that you occupied the embassy, in fact, on October 15th of last year, in an effort to make your voices heard after numerous times of being outright rejected by the embassy and the petition not accepted by any means.
A lot of critics has been on, not only from the Voice Refugee Forum, also from other networks.
Okay.
And we had tried to see how we even discuss about it, although our position is not to discuss with officials, but the Concerned Nigeria, then APC, African People Convention, appealed for our participation in a delegation visit to the embassy, which we did. The ambassador could not defend it. Then after that, we have been sending petitions to the embassy, sending petitions through the embassy to the presidency, but no response has been received. Last year alone, we submitted 2 petitions to the Nigerian Embassy directed to President Goodluck Jonathan, that the ambassador, through the ambassador, but still no response. On the 15th of October, there was the need to occupy the embassy, and some Nigerian activists from the Voice Refugee Forum and also some of our fellow activists, non-Nigerians, joined us to the embassy to protest inside the embassy, at least to put pressure, and demanded that the minimum that we expect is that the next mobile hearing that was to be held in the police station, in the airport in Munich, should be cancelled to show a step to good relationship. But instead of the ambassador to come down to speak with us, the embassy officials kept on threatening us that they will frustrate us, that it will not end here, and they made a whole lot of bullshit in the embassy, and we told them we are not leaving here until somebody comes to us. At the end of the day, they invited the German police. The German police came in and brutalized us. A lot of people were beaten like hell, and we were taken to the police station, notwithstanding the fact that the police told us that they were going to take us out one by one and let us outside free after controlling us, but we were all taken with the police truck to the police station, and we were kept for 9 hours. We were only released because a strong mobilization of activists came to the police station. More than 1,000 people protested in front of the station and demanded our release. That was when we were released. We were fingerprinted, all sort of the usual control of the German police. And today we are all facing criminal charges for occupying the premises of the Nigerian Embassy. But the question that remains is, who gave the orders for this police evacuation? How was it given? Was it legally done? This is the question that the court is shying away from going into, because they try to say, okay, we are just going into the case as it is because you are accused of occupying the premises of the Nigerian Embassy illegally. But the real thing, why it was confirmed by the court that it was a political protest, it was peaceful, then why are we criminalized? This is the problem now. The embassy officials are refusing to come to the court. Even one camera from one of our media activists was seized by the embassy official, which was not submitted to the police. That's stealing. None of them has been able to come to the police station. We have asked for the case to be made all together as one, but the German court rejected it. I think you could see how they recycle the whole process. Now we have to pay individual lawyers. One lawyer cannot act for 2 persons. So more than 20 people are facing charges in court. So at the moment we are criminalized because we entered our embassy to make our voices heard for a political protest, and now the Nigerian Embassy is issuing a warrant that we are tried. But the question now, like I said earlier, is how was the paper issued? Possibly the police were already inside the embassy before the papers were issued. So we are saying the Nigerian embassy was occupied by the German police, the German state. We gave a petition also after that. In Manila, I submitted a petition last year in November to the ambassador to send through him to the presidency. The consular officer, Mr. Okolika or whatever, received it and signed collection. But finally, he was scared. He came back and said, okay, I should give them back to him and wait for the acting ambassador. The acting ambassador, I waited for 40 minutes, and after 40 minutes, he came and didn't want to see me. But Mr. Okolika had to photocopy the whole papers and send me my originals back, that they are not going to accept it anymore. But he made copies and took out the one he had already signed. He took my photocopy of my passport also as an identification. First of all, I find problem in controlling me in my embassy. And up to today, we got no response from the federal government or from the Nigerian Senate also, because it was directed to the presidency and also to the Senate.
Okay.
And now in New York, I submitted the same petition also while we marched to the United Nations and made a spontaneous stop at the Nigerian Embassy in New York, just to give the same petitions also to the embassy here to remind them that yes, we are still waiting for a response. But I think it's either they will ignore it and just keep the file and not send it to the presidency, then that lies in the hands of the presidency.
Right.
So if a diplomatic mission cannot communicate whatever the situation is to the presidency, then the presidency is at fault. So it depends on what kind of diplomats you have here, because I think it's very normal to submit a petition to the presidency through the diplomats. So if they don't do what they should do, then the Nigerian president should be held accountable for it. So I think the presidency of President Goodluck Jonathan is questionable if they keep quiet to such situation, because this issue of protests at the embassy that they named as occupation right now could have been avoided if the embassy officials were really trying to see how they listened to the petition we had against them and what they were doing, and if they would really see our position for the interest of the Nigerian citizens, if they were for the interest of the Nigerian citizens.
Now, going forward, I mean, it seems like you've submitted numerous petitions, not just like here in New York and in Manila, but over the years. What is the next step now in the sense of, I know you have the court case on the one hand, but what is the next step? It seems to be that they're rejecting these petitions at each of the embassies you go to, no matter the country. So what are the next steps to try to maybe up the ante, so to speak, and get the government and these embassy officials to take notice, to bring these practices to an end in Germany and elsewhere? Yeah,
for us, we are practically on ground. We believe that our presence on the street makes all the difference. And so our commitment is to continue the scandal because our interest is just to get as many as possible people to be informed about the situation, the abuses of refugees in Germany or by the Nigerian Embassy, wherever, not only Germany, not only Nigerian Embassy, but Nigerian Embassy is a focus because Nigerian Embassy is more often into this business. The Frontex agreement that was signed in 2012 in Warsaw with the Nigerian immigration boss, together with the Frontex boss, could show how shameless Nigerian government could be, because every other agreement could be signed by documents under the table, but this was openly signed and handshaken to say Nigeria was a very important partner in this business. So it shows that yes, Nigeria is showing it obviously that yes, we are there to cooperate with every form of repression of Nigerians wherever they are. So now we are bent on going on the street to continue the protest. Even part of the court's hearings is also protest for us because it's getting the case more into the air. But on the 15th makes it 1 year, and we are commemorating 1 year of the occupation of the Nigerian Embassy. Occupation, the word they used. And so we are going to protest in front of the embassy on the 15th in Germany once again, just to keep the flow of information on. And so we are seeking solidarity, and we are calling for all Nigerian networks worldwide to try to show solidarity so that we can be able to stop these abuses, because the issue of Nigerians not being respected in the world today boils down to the situation in Nigeria. Even the government is not even showing any sign to clean the images of Nigeria. We are not the worst citizens in the world. They are good Nigerians. Even the Nigerians who are forced to go into illicit crimes are being forced to do it because the situation that they are forced to do, that they are forced to live in, is even warranting. We say an idle mind is the devil's workshop, just like being a refugee in Germany. Who says Nigeria is not a refugee country? People are dying every day. You could listen to the news, you could go online to check. People are killed, people are arrested for nothing. And there are persecutions one way or the other. The rich people have the police, they have the powers, they do whatever they like. So what are you talking about when people talk about Nigeria? There's no problem in Nigeria. It's not, it's really questionable. Well, thank you, Mr. Osa, for being with us here. Viewers, that was Mr. Rex Osa, an activist with the Voice Refugee Forum and also the coordinator of a campaign on stopping deportation, in fact, the anti-deportation campaign. And like he said, the main base is in Germany right now, and they're struggling to bring the Nigerian Embassy to book, really, on the collaboration with the German state for deporting of refugees and migrants from Germany. Thank you, viewers, and stay tuned. We have much more to come on our show.